Well met, lords and ladies, Jacob Butter speaking, and a warm welcome to this week's Walking Wednesday. I'm filming this not past like 10 o'clock in the morning this time. Well, I'm filming it past, sorry, I don't mean just after, because we didn't have a meeting this week. Yeah, as it turns out, I don't have anything timetabled on Wednesday. Still got stuff to do, obviously, but yeah, as it turns out, I'm actually able to, properly catch up on sleep for once, and not just like crash on the weekend. I remember, I think during the first year or something, I think I complained about the fact that Wednesday was the busiest day, honestly. Some sort of distant memory from a past or something like that. A past that feels so long ago and blah, 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 blah. No, but I think that's what happened. Because I vaguely remember the fact that I had to fit in these Walking Wednesdays a lot tighter than before. That's terrible phrasing, I apologise. But yeah, so I had to fill these in, I think, during a couple of classes, and then upload them much later. I mean, arguably some of these take ages to upload anyway. If I go past the 20-minute mark on this phone now, for some reason, it will record two different videos. Oh, not 20 minutes, 26 minutes I think is the mark. Sorry, I went across. I try and pick small roads this time to avoid the issue of cars making noise in the background, and I still don't manage to do that properly. Okay. But yeah. So as you can imagine, it's been quite the week. So I've got some good news and bad news. Well, I mean, I'll probably start with bad news and such. Pretty much all the time I've been coordinating different, well, not coordinating myself, but we've been coordinating in groups to actually rehearse together for, open text or whatever. Essentially, there's a lot of stuff to do with the directing course. Like, I've got two modules this semester for drama. One of them is the presentation one. One is about advanced theatre practice, which is directing. I think I've talked about this briefly before, and essentially one of them is a once-a-week thing, and the other one is 3 times. And as much as I'm enjoying the directing stuff, because I truly am, I'm really missing on the presentation stuff. Not I'm missing on it. I mean, it's like I feel like we could be doing more, because we only have a week session, and they're very much under the mentality of, oh, well, take your time with this, why should you have an idea, yet it's only week 2. And while, yes, that is the case, we were also instructed to read this book, well, these 2 books actually, during the summer. And I know that's not particularly uncommon, but those books were all about, choosing your passion, how to actually articulate it properly, techniques of public speech and all that stuff. And, I mean, if you've been on this channel for years, you know that I absolutely adore school presentations in general. That's the only presentations I've really had to do so far, except for one time when I did a Duke of Edinburgh presentation that was at a different school, representing my own school. So maybe that still counts, I'm not sure. But yeah, like, weirdly enough, unknowingly, that presentation I did years ago, which was about my personal adaptation of Quidditch called Floor Quidditch, was because I was asked to do that by the PE teacher and represent, the sports section of the award. Well, the only time I've ever been able to really talk about sports in any meaningful way whatsoever. Yeah, it's strange. I still hit some of those marks without even knowing I was doing it. Like, I had a good opening line. I even included some humor in there, which is not necessary, but it's something worth considering. And also told a story. And those are 3 key things that those books have been talking about. That's not to say I'm going to talk about floor Quidditch again, because it's been like, I don't know, 6 years or something like that. Maybe 7. I can't remember. But either way, point is, that was something, and I distinctly remember that what was I going to say? Oh yeah, I distinctly remember, then I blank out. No, I distinctly remember that every person who came up to present after that, because it was like several schools or whatever, there was one person before me who used like 3 different microphones or something, was quite shy, essentially read off a piece of paper. I mean, granted, I had a script too, but to some extent I knew what I was doing, and I rehearsed a bit before that when I actually did write something down. And the humour that I had was that I was supposed to have picked up my mum's shopping list, and it turns out it was on the other side. What I did was I folded it once, and I read out a bunch of things. I pretended it was shopping list, and then I opened it up. Yeah, the crowd loved that. But yeah, everyone after that was just like, oh, you know, we're not gonna live up to, you know, Quidditch or whatever. I was like, wow, that's, this really worked out. I'm so glad. Then this guy from who like actually had planned his speech and stuff, you know, it was the representative of a charity that he was his own foundation. He was there to represent the event. He wasn't from a school. He was an adult, and his speech was absolutely the best. Like, no question, no competition. So that kind of makes sense. I should have crossed beforehand, because now it's red again. Just in the middle of the road here. Like, okay, when I say middle of the road, I mean on an actual, okay, just in case. Because it's been a while since I've gotten complaints about doing these in terms of, oh, you know, you don't look before you cross the road, or you're too much in the road, or whatever, something like that. No, I'm actually paying attention. That's what peripheral vision is for, people. And also, it's hard to not listen to all the cars going past, isn't it? So, where was I going with all of that? Oh, we're stopping already. I think we're about to go. Are we? No. I think this taxi might have thought that we were heading them or something. Not sure. Okay, so anyway, what I was saying before was that in terms of actual public speech, in terms of coming up with an idea, I'm not talking about Thorkish again, but I'm talking about, I have an actual idea that since I started reading those books over the summer. So I feel like, yes, we're getting the bits of the methodology of how to do it, but A, it's repeating some of the stuff that's in the books already, and B, it's just going a bit too slowly for me. I don't know. I mean, I guess they have to accommodate for the fact that some people won't have done the reading over the summer and whatever. And arguably I've still got to finish some of those books, but I've at least made a start, I've at least made a passion point, and I have some things that I'm going to address. If anything, they're saying, oh yeah, you know, you're going to have to trim down ideas and stuff. Well, first of all, good, because that's usually what ends up happening, is that I will ramble on for an eternity. I mean, you've seen these. But on the other hand, it's like, how can we're talking about trimming down ideas, but you've also said that we don't have to have ideas yet, and we're not going to talk about our ideas until later, after the point we've talked about trimming down our ideas. You see how that just doesn't make sense? I'm sure that they vaguely know what they're doing. I mean, I feel like the only place where the universities are actually like properly slipping right now is timetabling. I just called my dad, actually, or well, my dad called me, and we were talking about how that's the case, because he works at a university, insert name here, I'm not going to say which one, and yeah, that's apparently an issue as well, because yeah, both courses have kind of been on that. I've not been on certain lists that I should have been on. There was an issue with my enrollment, so that was partly my fault, but even after it's sorted out, it said it should take about 24 hours, but sometimes things have been organised beforehand, sometimes the teacher thing before I did the whole enrollment thing. Sometimes they'll put me in certain groups, which I'm grateful for. And those are what's timetabled. If you looked at my actual timetable, which of course I'm not going to show you because it's got the name of the uni on it, you would see that I'm apparently only timetabled for Monday and Tuesday. I assure you that is not the case. Yeah, because I mean, also the study we've got is Thursday and Friday. We've got that directing course, which is 3 times a week. I mean, creative writing is also once a week, at least for dual honours people. That's the thing. If you take 2 subjects at uni, then they'll trim down. You know, they'll give you do the essential ones and, you know, work through that. So yeah, that's a thing. In fact, I think I'm supposed to cancel some sort of drama meeting or say I can't make that because creative writing happens to be on that day, but I'll check my emails for that later. Because yeah, I wanted to get this done out of the way first while there was still a little bit of light. Because yeah, it's definitely not the morning, although this phone would have you probably believe otherwise, which is great. I love when that happens. But yeah, so that's essentially, you know, that's what's been happening. I don't know if that's necessarily all just bad news or stuff, but I feel like I've split from that formula. You know, I said good news, bad news, and I was like, okay, well, no, that. I guess bad news in a way is that I haven't been able to work on much elsewhere. Like, I really need to actually, like, properly finish off the stage play that I was talking about before, which I'm not even sure if I'm going to have time to do now, or even choose a stage play. I talked to the chief that runs the directorials and stuff, and he said that we're not supposed to choose our groups yet because I can't remember exactly. We've got to focus on this one module or something, because then it's later on the festivals like Advanced Theatre Practice 2, which will be next semester, which makes sense. So then why on earth did somebody actually say in the meeting last week that we had 2 weeks to decide our groups ourselves? I don't get that. I mean, I'm inclined to believe the directing guy on this one, honestly, just because I feel like it's very harsh to say, but I feel like he knows what he's talking about in that regard. Anyway, that's something else. But yeah, I'm also looking forward to really applying what I've learned and actually get to talk to the actors and stuff, because our first assessment for that is a 5 minutes it's a 5 minute script. 5 minute script reading or something, or maybe I even go to get through 2 or 3 or something of the extract that we presented, and essentially apply everything there. In fact, I've even come up with my own technique actually in terms of how to actually use some of the stuff that we've learned and also give them a little bit of extra time without cheating and going into an extra 5 hours of the script, which for some people in the open text they actually decided to use that method, which was like, yeah, this is catching on. I mean, granted, I don't have enough practice with this yet, but it's giving me a little bit of a basis to go off, at least. But yeah, we haven't actually got around to the extracts. Again, we chose the extracts over the summer, and yet now we're finding out that we can still change them, which once again, on one hand, makes sense, because we didn't have any of the any of the knowledge or skills that they taught us now when we chose those extracts. On the other hand, it doesn't make sense, because why would we choose extracts over the summer then if they're still able to be changed? Because we had a set deadline for that, and suddenly it turns out that I guess they're still flexible, which was normally if you have a deadline at uni or something, they mean that's when the latest time they can get it in order to actually arrange it for everything and give the tutors time to organize, or if it's a piece of work, to get it marked or whatever. So I'm definitely confused as to why that happened the way that it did. I don't know. So, I guess maybe I'll once again retract a statement I made previously in this Walking Wednesday, and I will say maybe there's a few other things that unis don't quite know what they're doing yet. Or maybe they do. Maybe there's some sort of internal logic that's going on. I mean, if I know the tutor that does the directing stuff, he normally has a justification for everything that the students don't necessarily know yet. I distinctly remember one time when we did student voice in first year, and this was the same tutor, and he actually took time out of the actual lesson to address every single point of the student voice in a little bit of an aggressive and confrontational manner at times, but I think that's just because he has a very stern tone of voice in general, and some of the stuff he said just comes off that way. I mean, I'm guilty of that myself sometimes. But yeah, he actually did explain everything. To give you guys an idea, he's kind of like the Professor McGonagall of this department, in the sense that he is incredibly good-hearted and good-natured, but also expects a great deal and comes off as very strict at the same time, and has that balance. So, yeah, that's the best comparison I can make. That's kind of where we're at now. Anyway, I think there was a dog barking on the side of the street. So yeah, anyway, back to YouTube stuff, because that's kind of what most people here want to see. I mean, granted, there's a few people who have since discovered my channel, because I talked about my channel briefly in class, and they said, oh, I've subscribed to your channel and I've watched, X video or something like that. And it's like, fair enough. To those new people, I say, what are you doing here? Get out, Walking Wednesday is boring. Watch something else. I don't know. Watch the Mutant Girl, or one of the songs I've done, or, I don't know, the Athmal videos. Those are the most interesting ones. Anywho, to those people who haven't, looking for, I don't know, updates and stuff, well, I was about to say I didn't have much to report, because it turns out that, because of all the stuff that's been going on recently, I've just been focusing purely on class, and YouTube is kind of like, oh, well, I'll do the streams and I'll do the Walking Wednesdays because they don't require editing, and therefore I can give myself more time. The only thing I've been editing recently is Alpha Witch Academy, really, and maybe a couple of other side projects. But yeah, not much at all. So, also, I forgot what I was going to say now. But also, as it turns out, I was going to say all of that, but now I don't have to, because William messaged me today. He says that scene 1 is done of the next Mutant Girl episode, and he'll be sending that off to me after he gets home from school. So it's like, yes! At last! The Mutant Girl can return! But, yeah, obviously we're not there yet. I'll probably be, very quickly putting together together everything, and, sound effects and scoring and whatnot. So, potentially, because I also have to choose another extract from a play, and, read the whole play and stuff like that, might be a while. Probably the earliest I'd say that's going to come out, if William is indeed going to send me the actual scene, would be Friday, because I was like, oh, I could, get it ready for tomorrow and stuff, but it's like, I don't know, maybe Friday, bit of an end of the week treat, so for something like that, so maybe that will be the time to really get back into that. Although, again, I think Ed and I have given enough warnings that the next episode can be a bit of a tearjerker sometimes. At least for him anyway, because again, he's the perfect test of the audience. So, if he was saying that something was, is very sad and, is very dramatic and all that good stuff, then there's a good chance that it probably is. But yeah, well, all to be seen yet. who knows? I feel like just anything, like, you know, within the week treat for me, just getting that actually done. And then afterwards, I know I've got a guarantee that that Nova will still be voicing Morwenna for the next one, because she sent in both lines for that at once. But yeah, I'm going to start collecting again. I mean, Aiden's been non-stop with his stuff. Like, he's been having me send in lines for season 2 of Fallen Angels and stuff. Even though he knows that I'm very efficient and will probably send them in at the time and we're not going anywhere. Like, because you've got to know who your guarantees are. Sometimes they'll change. I mean, like, for example, at one point Caroline was, you know, guaranteed that she'll get stuff in very quickly, and then suddenly she started, you know, complaining about the fact that, you know, she had other plans or something, or, you know, that, or she wasn't able to do stuff and then eventually had to leave for personal reasons, which makes sense. So sometimes that would change, but yeah, Aiden and I have been quite constant for some time. Also, Caroline's back, so, you know, nothing to worry about there. And yeah, I do worry when, you know, my VAs either vanish or they have to go. Not just because of the series, but just because of personal reasons. That's why I probably have to actually detach myself from what's going on with them in order to actually produce this quickly, because we've got 3 more episodes in 2 months if I want the series to be done by the end of 2021. Because, yeah, honestly, I don't want to go into 2022 and still be doing the series I started in 2020. Like, not the series, sorry, the series, I'm obviously, the show must go on. Yeah, no doubt about that, but just the season, that's what I mean. Because, yeah, it's got an awful production history in some ways. Yeah, I don't know. I gotta sort that out, because again, if this week is indicative of how the next year of my life is gonna go, then I also need to really probably talk to BB, make sure that she's actually takes control of some of the managerial stuff, and get out of the loop a lot more than I used to do, which is also, you know, shame on me. But yeah, also just yeah, the reason I did that is because I felt like people respond better to me, I think. I don't think they understand that BB is my second in command and actually really acts on my behalf, and not just like, hey, you know, I'm a fan of the show or whatever, you know, please get your lines in or stuff so that I can consume the next episode. That's not remotely what she's doing, if anyone thought that was what was going on. But yeah, I'm going to talk to people, call in some more lines, and really just get everyone arranged again. Because yeah, I've still got some audio editing to do for Beanie Boy as well, because I've got those vocals to complete. I sent in the chorus, anyone wondering if that's actually had any progress, that has. But yeah, still going. Today is kind of be more like a catch-up day for me. I don't know if anyone is going to really properly hear much from me for the rest of the day, even though I don't have anything timetabled, but I don't know. If they do, then obviously I'll say hi. I promise to call my mum after this as well, so that's another thing. But yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. So I've now reached the 24-minute mark out of 26, and I'm going to now turn around. So I've also now gone to a different train station. Fun. But yeah, so please leave a like or dislike, because your opinion matters, and subscribe if you haven't done so already, because you might get a Music Girl episode in the next couple of days. Wishful thinking maybe, but we'll see. So on that note, until next time, farewell.